fabulous Sunday episode, not only are you going to get a little art culture, you're going to meet an actual artist. Graig Weich. He is the creator of Beyond Comics TV. Man got started as the artist at McFarlane's Spawn from Image Comics issue 30. And now he creates all of his new superheroes for Beyond Comics TV. You saw him on Comic Book Man with Kevin Smith, which, by the way, is how I saw him the first time, because Comic Book Man was a pandemic watch for me. And so when we reached out and found him on Instagram, I was like, oh, dude, I saw that episode. Also, Comic Book Man's a great Sunday afternoon watch. It's geeky and comforting, which is really all we can hope for. You also have seen Greg in Ice Loves Coco back in the day with Ice-T, and he was also on the Howard Stern Show, and now he's hanging out with me. What? You're welcome. Yeah, a total actual comic book artist. There's a bunch of links in this episode. Go check him out. Follow him on Instagram. We'll have him back again on the Birdcast, of course, because he is full of insider information. We talked a little bit about the Batman, Bill Finger, Bob Kane situation as well. He's met Steve Ditko. He's a for real dude. He makes the juice, man. And I mean the real juice, not the juice we say is juice because we don't want to get dinged by YouTube, but the real stuff. So anyway, here's me talking to Graig Weich from Beyond Comics TV to finish off your culture shock for the day. Everybody say hi, Graig. We're starting now. Boom, it's already happening. Oh my God. We weren't ready. Graig, how are you, man? How are you doing in New York? What's it like? What time is it where you are?
It's around 6:40-ish p.m. So over here,
you're an hour ahead of me. No spoilers.
Spoiler alert.
Oh man. Hey, here's a question you probably never got before, Graig. How did you get into comics?
Oh my God, it's a good question. I'll get my my count. So this is my comic book.
There it is.
Gekido.
Yeah,
you can see it on camera over there.
Yep, it's so cool. And you drew that cover? Is that you?
Yes, it's all hand drawn, pencil and ink and digital color, and it's co-created by writer Brandon Wilson. Shout out to him as well.
What's up, Brandon?
This is our superhero Gekido, which means wrath in Japanese.
Very cool. Very cool.
And yes, how did I get into comics? So I actually got my start thanks to Todd McFarlane, who's
I've heard of him.
Creator of Spawn, publisher of The Walking Dead for Robert Kirkman on AMC, and it's really exciting. He gave me my break in comics back when I was around 19.
Yeah, I was gonna say you were 19 when Todd brought you on, huh?
Yeah, it's incredible, and he had me draw the double page spread pinup for Spawn issue number 30 of Spawn and Angela fighting each other, which was really exciting. And then I just saw him at Comic-Con a few weeks ago, and we're doing a brand new thing together with Odd Key. So I'll be drawing some Spawn art for Odd Key, the digital NFTs and stuff. So I'm super pumped to come full circle after all this time. He was really nice to me.
I'm just always happy to hear that Todd McFarlane's doing okay. Because I don't see him a lot on TV, and I'm always just hey, how's Todd McFarlane doing? I don't have his number, otherwise I would call and just check in.
Oh my God. It's incredible to see what he's been able to do. It's a mastermind of comic, especially because he started out drawing Batman for DC and Spider-Man for Marvel, and now he's doing the toys of DC Comics characters and the statues of Marvel, so he's able to do it based on his own art, which is just mind-blowing. So
did you actually get to go and hang out at his studio, or was it you just talked on the phone and stuff?
No, I'm with him in New York. Whenever he comes to New York City, it's always great to see him, and he and I shot a little video together talking about the first time I got my first paid job in comics drawing that poster for Spawn, and it was just very exciting, and we did a little video which is on my social media and stuff like that. And
click on the link down below and don't be weird about it. Question. So I don't know why I need to say question. It's not. I mean, hey, question over here. Greg, over here. Many times. What's that like? I mean, I guess from an artistic perspective, what is that like to sit down and draw an iconic character like Spawn? Because oh
my gosh. Well, it's funny you mentioned that. So part of this new deal that I'm doing with Todd McFarlane and Remy at Odd Key, which is the digital site oddkey.com, or if you check it out on Twitter or Discord. They brought
Guys,
me
just
back.
click all the links down below,
Yeah,
okay?
yeah,
Just
yeah.
don't make him tell you what to do. You know what to do. Click it down below. Click it or stick it.
Smash that like button and subscribe.
Smash
No.
that like button and subscribe.
Hit the notification
God.
bell.
It just gives me a headache.
But
Also,
no,
when you're doing videos, don't tell us who you are. We already know who you are. We clicked on your video. I can't. When it's just like, hey, what's up, everybody? You're watching Bob. I'm it's like, it's not. I didn't tune in, Bob. I can see your name. Anyway, I got it off my chest. Thank you for
that's
being here with
awesome,
me.
man. But no, it was so crazy because they brought me back as the first time ever that I was drawing Spawn live for Todd McFarlane on Todd McFarlane's Odd Key, odd like Todd, right? So Odd Key, the online.
Whoa.
It was nerve-wracking
Yeah, I
because
can't imagine that was an easy ride.
oh my God. Well, because I'm answering questions from people calling in internationally and locally and everything while I'm drawing live.
Oh my
And
God.
of course dealing with the Wi-Fi and all that stuff. But what really freaked me out is that I've never had people watch me draw. So I decided to draw Spawn's hand in that like creepy pose with that
Right.
weird pinky, and I got stuck on the pinky and I was like, shit, they're seeing me like erase the pinky. And I'm like redrawing it like 6 times.
Oh my God, like because you don't get to like erase and like just walk away. People are staring at you the entire time. You're like, give me a minute. You don't hey, stop judging me. Like zero people are judging you, but you're freaking out.
But I swear, like my heart's pounding. I'm like, they're seeing me screw up. They're seeing me mess up the pinky of Spawn, the
Oh,
iconic Spawn. And I'm
oh
like,
my
this is
God.
humiliating. So I'm like, I'm sorry, guys. I'm trying to
I
erase
want to
and
believe that you
redraw
just like erased it. I'm sorry, and then just collapsed into a puddle for a few minutes. Give me a minute,
exactly.
guys. I swear I'm good at this.
Oh, but it was cool because like the fans were really awesome. They're like, "You can do it. We believe you." I like
That's
finally
so
fixed the
great.
pinky, and I got that Spawn hand, and they're like, "Yes, you did it."
Nice.
So really
When
cool.
did you have
Well,
like parameters that you had to do, or they sit you down and be like, okay, so Spawn's head is exactly 5 inches above his navel. His pectoral muscles are, this wide and that kind of stuff, or was there like specifics, or you're just like, I don't know, you guys get in there, do what you got to do.
no, they were really cool. They just let me go off and do my own version. And I tried to
Nice.
keep it in that McFarlane feel of
Yeah.
Spawn. But it's funny because a lot of people don't know this, but when I did the double page poster in issue 30 of Spawn with Angela fighting Spawn, I changed his monkey skulls. They were like flat cardboard cutout skulls. And I thought, hey, let me turn those into like three-dimensional monkey skulls. And that poster on, they three-dimensionalized the skulls from that point on in his comic
Whoa. Oh,
book.
so you made some lasting impressions then.
So yeah, a little bit of a thing, which I
That's
thought
got
was
to
kind
feel
of a
pretty
nice.
cool.
That was just a
Wow.
nice feeling, it was really nice. And then I thought that was kind of exciting. And then also another, it's like I guess you could call it like a tribute thing, but I noticed that somebody at DC Comics had a Batgirl statue that they made in the identical pose that I
Oh,
drew
that's got to feel
Angela
like
in.
somebody oh wait, there's a comic book term for it. Hold on. It's like when somebody takes your page and they trace and they're like, "Oh man, there was a good word for it. Snatching, grabbing,
Swiping, you're talking about.
swiping. I should know that. Come on."
For you youngsters, that word meant something else back in the
Back
day.
in the day. Yeah.
But that
Yeah.
was cool. I was excited about it. I was such a young guy, seeing this stuff. So it's like I was just happy to kind of inspire someone to use that pose over things like that. Was cool. I was all right with that.
Nice.
And
But that's
it,
got to feel really nice to see like that you've made like a legacy or some kind of like lasting impression on a character that already has a legacy, and then now you're getting like copies of copies. Now it's part of it's like getting memed. I'm assuming that's what
yeah,
it's like to be
kind of.
memed.
Kind of, yeah. Like I know, like a lot of people are very protective over this stuff, and it's like, and I understand why, but it's like some people are scared to put things up digitally because they're afraid they'll copy it or bootleg. But at the same time, if I didn't need to pay bills, I would just draw for free. I would
Right.
do this to give it to the world. So I'm thinking like, hey guys, share it. Hopefully, you'll want to see more art and be aware that I have bills to pay. So if you want to buy the comic, that would be cool, or download it or something.
Yeah.
But it's
Also, how much money are they going to make memeing your work? Like, is it going to
exactly.
like? Are they? It's not going to clean up.
Exactly, but people get very crazy about that stuff, and I've just seen so much hate on the internet and cyberbullying and hating and ripping apart.
Oh
And
yeah.
my thing is that shouldn't we all come together as a community of artists and writers and creators and help support each other? Let's promote each other's stuff. Let's get things going as a team. You know what I mean? That's my philosophy and stuff versus like tearing down or trying to compete against. Let's compete with and inspire each other to do more and better. That's kind of my philosophy.
Well, and the fan base is has a reputation of being super measured and
Mhm.
laid back and not at all opinionated. So I can't
Not at
imagine where that comes from. But you've been around the business for a while. It's changed
Oh
a
yeah.
lot since you started. What are some things that you've loved that you've seen that are changing versus stuff that you wish would like come back? Like, is there anything that you see like right now that you kind of are like, hey man, I really like where this is going right now?
That's a great question, actually. Yeah, I'm. Well,
Thank you.
you are welcome, sir.
Ah, ah, ah.
But no, a great question. I think that I love the classic, in your face kind of three-dimensionalized version of art that Image Comics had launched. With Todd McFarlane and Jim
Right.
Lee and some of those great artists that really just blew people's mind. And I love seeing that come back. And then the thing is that I think that in today's world, remember when comics were huge in the 90s with Image Comics, that was the only way to get that form of art and to see it. There was like almost no internet. There was, none of the competition of stuff we have. Video games were just starting. So to be able to bring it into a new level, I teamed up with some really good people. That one of them formerly worked at Meta and things like that. And I got this idea for a way to revolutionize traditional, like printed comic books
Right.
with new technology and do something that I hope maybe I'll come back and announce it once we get our funding in place and I could launch it. But we did some prototypes and it works and it's really cool.
So
And I
like the
think
vibe
it'll
is it like you're doing something that's like an online experience or like
no, you need the printed original comic
ooh,
book
okay.
combined with technology that you could just
Oh,
use on your phone. So bringing that to a new level, I think is going to blow people's mind because it brings
nice.
the comic to life in a different way that hasn't been done like this. You've seen little glimpses of it, for example, AR or VR. You see
Right,
little
right, right.
glimpses of that, but I've never seen it combined and then something added to it that propels the story forward and you could get the standalone comic book or this new technology that will be implemented to turn it into something else. So I'm so glad that this works because it was like a crazy idea that I had and it actually works. So that was exciting. So I hope in the next couple of years or so we'll get funding and be able to put that out for everybody.
I think that's really interesting that like as a human that works in like analog art where you actually have to sit down and draw things. I'm assuming you do like digital ink or and that kind of stuff like you use iPads and stuff like that.
One of the
But
things I use the Wacom tablet and stuff. So I think that it's interesting. This comic book for Gekido, you'll see the transition. It started with this. So I drew this traditional pencil and ink, then digital color in Photoshop, right?
oh, I
And then
see.
the first page of the comic also drawn pencil and ink, if you could see that
Whoa,
there.
yeah, that's gorgeous.
Oh, thank you, man. And then I switched to over here, and this was the first page I had done fully digital, where I drew directly with the Wacom tablet, where he's being attacked by ninjas and things like that.
So that two page, this that's not, wait, is that the splash? Am I right? Is that the
That was
splash?
the double page
Yeah,
splash, and you
I
can see
nailed
there.
it. All right, so that splash that we're looking at is all digital.
Yeah, and
Wasn't
moving forward, all of the other art as well. I drew
okay.
directly into the computer using the Wacom tablet, but it's still
Whoa,
traditional drawing, but you're drawing it digitally in the
sure.
tablet for paper for those kids out there who are unfamiliar.
Paper, you guys. It's still
This
around.
is called paper,
Write a
youngsters.
note. Pick it up. Get your you feel like comics are still better experienced in the physical media or not
Yeah.
on your phones and stuff, right?
Oh, I love to touch it and to
Yeah, the
feel it and to
tactile
smell the
expen like
paper and
experience.
yeah, you could look at it, you could kind of pull it in and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But what's funny is you see little kids doing like this. They'll take the comic and they'll do like this, trying to zoom in, and they forget it's not a screen.
I laugh, but I definitely did that on the side of a Diet Pepsi can once because I was like, wait, how many carbohydrates are in this?
That's it.
Enhance.
I've been
enhance.
guilty of it as well. It's so true. And but it's fun too because I got this idea for this comic book to try to get the licensing rights for real celebrities and actually turn them into comic book characters and cast them
Right.
as you would a movie in a digital or hand drawn comic book. So you could digitally download it, you could see the printed comic. So I was able to connect with some celebrities like Ice-T's wife Coco from Law and Order.
Right.
So if you look closely, you'll see that's
There she
actually
is.
her in the drawing I did of
Yep.
her.
All
Yeah.
right.
Yes, right there. Carrie Tagawa, the
Check
man,
out.
the
There he is.
star of Mortal Kombat and the man
His
in the high
soul
castle.
is mine.
By the
What
way,
was that like? Did you get to talk about Mortal Kombat, or you're like just like, hey, don't bring it up,
oh,
don't bring it up?
oh
He's
my
been
God.
in other movies.
He literally, he is the coolest guy. Carrie Tagawa. And for those of you who don't know, he was Shang Tsung in Mortal Kombat and star of the Man on High Castle Amazon Prime. But he will call me up at like 2 a.m. Greg, are you ready to meditate? And I'm like, it's
What a
2 o'clock in the
great
morning. I'm
guy.
like, yes, yes, babe. He's like, oh, your soul is mine. And he says that. He straight up said that to me, which makes him so cool and so badass. So I love Gary Hiroyuki Tagawa is the man.
That's
He's so
so cool.
awesome. So, and what's funny, it's a great story too, because I drew him back when I was in School of Visual Arts as like 18 years old for Mortal Kombat. I was like, we need to make a villain of this guy for like a new villain, a new super villain, right?
Right.
So when I drew the first version of this, that was they put me on a TV show called Ice Loves Coco on E! Entertainment Television with Ice-T and Coco from Law and Order,
Back
and we
in
had
the day.
yes, and they had the unmasked version of this character that we did, this prototype comic at Comic-Con. And in that version, the bad guy kind of looks like Carrie Tagawa, but like an anime version, right?
Yep.
So then fast forward, a little bit later, I meet him, right? I directed like a short animation on these characters, codename Justice and Raven Dactyl, my upcoming superheroes.
Still
And
one
we
of the
did
greatest
some
names I've ever heard. Not because I'm a bird, but hearing Raven Dactyl just makes my little 13-year-old bird self feel finally like we conquered, like we finally did it.
you
Not that
you
we didn't
might.
have like Condor Man and all that, but like
Oh, I
still
love Condor, dude. That was
Dactyl.
one of my favorites as a child. I love that. And but Raven Dactyl, as you can see, not
Yeah.
too different from your own colors, by the
Not
way. I
mad
must
about
say.
it. Someday.
Can't do that. You got some.
Someday. Looking at you, comic book world. I'll take it's just me like missing my like I'll be a superhero, but I'm like always late. He's like, hang on. Pow. All right. Sorry, guys. That was a bus.
That's awesome. No, but it's true. And what was so interesting about it, though, is that when I met him, I had submitted this animation that I did based on those characters called Raven Dactyl versus Codename Justice. And he saw it. He was in the audience accepting an award, and he had seen that.
Whoa.
So it was the HBO sponsored Urban Action Film Festival award.
Right.
So I was over there. And I see Carrie Tagawa talking to the show organizer, and I hear him say, who created those superhero cartoons? I turn into a 5-year-old. I'm like,
Wow.
running up like
Wow.
Mickey Mouse. I sound like I run over. I'm so excited. He's like, did you create these characters? And that voice he has.
Oh, yeah, I know. It's unmistakable.
Exactly. So he says to me, we will have a meeting at the after party. See you there. I was like, wow.
Okay.
So I was blown away. Yes. So it was incredible. And I was in the after party there, and I see he is with an incredibly attractive model that he is.
Is there any other kind?
I don't know, but it was I will tell you, she was very attractive, and he was very having a great time with her on the dance floor. Okay.
Oh, nice.
So I walk over.
I assume Tagawa can cut a rug.
Oh my God. I mean, the girl is just very incredible, right? So I remember I go over and like, oh, I don't want to disturb him.
No,
so
you do not.
Right, exactly. So I'm about to slink away, but then out of the corner of his eye, he sees me and he looks to the girl. He says, excuse me, this is important. Leaves and comes over to me.
Damn, Greg. Damn.
Right. I know. I was like, oh my God, he is the man.
Did you fan yourself and did you look her in the eye and be like, yeah, that's right. I cut in.
No,
I'm his prom
I'm
date
like in
now.
shock. I was just my mouth was so like like
Nice.
wow. So
What
he's
a
like,
cool
come with
guy.
me, we'll have a meeting now. And we
Oh,
takes
that's
him
awesome.
for like 6 hours. We sat down and he asked me a billion questions. And one of the things that really hit me is he said to me that he went to, Midway Games was purchased by Warner
Yep.
Interactive.
Yep.
And he said, look, I'm the face of Mortal Kombat, not only the
Mhm.
movies, but the video games. And even the new one that they had released, a couple of years back, right? It made like $1 billion. And they made a
Yep.
2 hour movie of him where it shows him from when he looked like when he was in his 30s to his 60s. And, he becomes the wizard and he transforms, and they announced him at Comic-Con returning for that, Mortal Kombat 11, and they went crazy and stuff. So he said, listen, I would like you guys to let me buy equity in the company so that I can own a piece of that. And he couldn't get it approved. They wouldn't approve it,
What?
which is crazy.
Oh, are
So
you telling me that the industry is a little fucked up, Greg? Is that what you're saying? Come on. It's always on the level.
I was just very shocked, but he said to
That's
me,
insane, man.
I know, right? He's like, I will allow you to use my name and likeness on one condition, and that's you let me buy equity in your company. I said, wow.
Oh,
And he is
interesting.
officially my business partner. So that was
Whoa.
incredible. Yeah.
That's
Yeah, which
amazing.
is
So like you that
dream
now
come
that
true.
makes sense why he calls you on the phone every now and then.
Oh
It's just
yeah,
like,
yeah.
hey
We
man, get
speak
up.
all the time, and I just spoke to him a few days ago, and it was just wonderful to hear him. And he's and but wait, I want to show you this picture here from this. He's such a great guy. If you guys can see that.
Nice
Oh
hat.
my gosh.
Look at how just like sleek. Look at you two. Look like you're ready to like break knuckles, wrap knuckles and crack skulls, man.
Like Clark
Dopeness.
Kent pose.
Um, what's it been like? Because you started your own company. Like, what's that been like? In the industry that's like known for major names. Like, you created your own comic studio. What was that like to get that out there?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, I think it was kind
Thank
of
you.
a you're welcome, sir.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it was incredible because I was so scared, and the reason I never really talk about this, but one of the things and the reason why I started that is a lot of different companies, well-known companies, were taking my characters, my designs, my art,
Right.
and removing my name, and I was like, oh my god, this is terrible.
In the
And
comic book industry, Kelsey Breeze.
well, it was not just the comic industry. It was like toy industry, and
Oh
I mean, it was
yeah.
a lot of stuff. I was really surprised. I mean, I remember like there was a company named Into Toys, and they did the Matrix figures a long
Right.
time ago. But I see all my digital color of the sculptures
Oh
all
man,
at Toy Fair.
that's got to be
You know,
super irritating.
I wasn't paid for that. They just took this. I'd submitted it, but they put it up there, no name credit, nothing. I was like, wow. I did something for Psy Girls for BBI back in the
Right.
day. I shot a movie, like a freaking film, with hired actresses to dress up as these Psy Girl superheroes. They showed it on this big screen, like on a movie screen at Toy Fair, and
Whoa.
removed my website and removed my name, like for real.
What?
Another guy, I won't say who it is. He asked me to draw a comic book cover for him. He said, fax me the pencils. I faxed it to him. This is fax days. Okay. And
For
6 months
those of
later,
you
it
wondering
comes
what
out.
those are, anyway,
I
well,
know,
you can
right,
Google a
right.
fax later.
A fax machine is before email, boys and girls. So,
Ah,
but
the
for me,
barbaric
so
times of DOS.
exactly. So, again, I'm a young guy in school. I don't know better. So I faxed the artwork. 6 months later, it comes out, inked right over my pencils, no name credit. Now, it was crazy. But the big one, and this was a real big one, though. There were two. One was, if you remember Batman Forever,
Yep.
right? Chris O'Donnell's Robin suit. So
Okay.
I did the first designs for that
Get
suit. I had
out of
the
here.
letter from Warner Brothers. I saved the Warner Brothers letter. I sent that to Burbank, California, to Bob Ringwood, who created the Batman suit,
Right.
and Mary Voigt, I think her name is. And I did all these designs for what I thought a Robin suit should be in a Batman Returns movie, right? Now, this is before Batman Forever. So Batman Returns. And I had heard they're going to make the movie, and I sent them the designs. And about 6 months later, they send me back this wonderful letter, and they're like, "Hey, kid, when you graduate, you got a job waiting for you out here. We love the designs." But they wrote Robin out of the movie at the last minute. He was going to be in, and that's Marlon Wayans, right? Marlon Wayans
Yeah.
was cast, right?
Yeah.
So, it was crazy. So I didn't think anything of it. Batman Return came out.
Right.
Then 3 years later, Batman Forever comes out. And I'm saying the detail was so close to what I
That's
designed, down to
crazy.
the details of the little kind of birds on the tips
Yeah.
of the boots on the top below the knee, like small details. They kept all that stuff in there. Of course, they modified it and made
Right.
changes, so it was their own thing, but it was so close. And I was so, just to give you an idea, again, I'm a teenager when I did this, right?
Mhm.
So I was so young and naive. I was like, oh, maybe they'll give me special thanks in the credits. This is how I thought, you know?
Oh, sweet innocent you.
Exactly, you know? And I was so sad when they didn't. I was like, oh,
Man. Is that
you
how
know,
you got involved? Like, and how you got on Comic Book Man is like you and Kevin Smith were like bitching about, like, hey, remember when we were gonna do Batman Forever and it was gonna be really dope, and Nick Cage was involved, and there was a giant spider, and then everything sucked, and then it all disappeared. That's got to be how. I'm gonna pretend that's how it went down.
that's almost exactly how I saw him. I
Yes.
saw Kevin Smith at Comic-Con a few weeks ago, which was great to see him again.
Nice.
We shot a little quick video thing. He was wonderful. He was
Yeah.
great, you know. But yeah, no, they put me on 3 episodes of Comic Book Man. That was kind of cool, you know. But unfortunately, they cut out like a lot of the segment of me and just showed these two characters, my characters. I was like,
Get
guys,
out of the way, Greg.
man.
Come on. Look at this guy's wearing a suit. You had a ponytail in those days, man.
I did have a ponytail. I
So
had to
that
cut
was one
my
of the things when
ponytail.
you and I were chat on Instagram that I didn't want to fanbird out too much, but like Comic Book Man was like a pandemic watch because I'd never seen it before,
Right,
and
that's right.
I just chewed it alive. And when I saw your name, I was like, oh, I remember from Comic Book Man. Oh my God, Raven Dactyl, no shit. So yeah, okay, that was my moment. I got to have that out.
Tobacco, guys.
There he is. Oh, bird can dream.
Oh, that's so
You
great,
got
man.
into
But yeah,
movies and stuff too. Like I'm assuming you got in there because of the. It's not like a hard jump to go from working in the comic book industry to being in like not one but two Spider-Man films and The Dark Knight Rises. So,
that's right. That's right.
but
That's right.
like
That was such a dream. I mean, I have a picture of that. Let me pull that up. Hold on. Yeah. So,
no,
so in Spider-Man, if you guys see it there,
yeah, cool.
and then let me see. Where's the Batman? Oh yes, as Bane's thug in
Yeah,
Batman,
that
getting
because you were in the
punched.
article. Yeah, I see it.
Tom
What
Hardy is.
was how tiny is Tom Hardy? Is he like a tiny dude?
You know what was funny is it was so funny because when Christian Bale walked out in the bat suit and Tom Hardy, right? Now
Right,
Tom was kind of just coming up at that time, you know, so he's about here, I guess, you know. But Batman, to me, Christian Bale's like this,
right.
so I'm supposed to be the tough thug fighting next to them, right, or behind them, right? And I remember Christian Bale walks out, and I said, "Oh my God, it's Batman!" So excited, and I'm smiling like this. And I remember Christopher Nolan, the director, is like, "Hey, ponytail guy," because I had the ponytail. He's like, "Stop smiling, you're the villain." I was like, "Right, sorry about that." You know
Sorry,
what I mean?
sorry. That has to be a problem on all Batman movies. Is that after a while you have to be like, "Hey, guys, we have to make the movie."
I don't know if you see this. I'm going to zoom in on here. Some dude punched me in the face. Like if
What?
you see my face here, like,
That's
oh,
not a
like
union
this.
set. That's not
Oh, oh,
professional.
well, it's actually it's really interesting. If you can see this with
Yeah,
the
I can see
gun
it.
here,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
this is where the guy hit me over here, and then the Batmobile, right, the tumbler.
Right.
But it's an interesting thing that happened. I bet you guys will be interested in this because they got it on YouTube. It's posted, and somebody was filming outside the building, from
What?
above down. Yeah, and you'll see when the dude grabs me, hits me right in the face, okay, and keeps going. And somebody else broke a dude's jaw. And the reason why is because half the crowd apparently was real military and police. I
Oh
guess
my God.
yeah, so
What?
they didn't tell us that. So in this scene, I didn't realize this, but it was down at Wall Street. They filmed it in two locations, but Wall Street was one of them.
Right.
And there's like 250 of us on one side, and then the police and military on the other side, filled with real police and
Oh
military, not
no.
actors.
Oh
And
no.
Nobody told them don't actually hit us. Okay, so they're just wailing on us, and a guy's nose got busted, another guy's taken out on a stretcher for real, and
Oh,
I was
damn.
terrified because they put me right in the front, and the whole crowd's pushing me. So you're being like
Oh,
flooded.
no.
Like I felt my feet lift off the ground for real, like as they were pushing forward. It was terrifying. And then some dude grabs me and he throws big dude. I'm like 6 feet tall. This guy takes me and he throws me on the tumbler, right? The
Well,
Batmobile.
first of all,
Like
brag.
this.
But anyway.
But I will tell you, even though it hurt, I was like, how many people can say they got tossed off the
Exactly. No,
Batmobile?
I would be like, cool, break my nose. I don't care.
It's
This
like,
is how I'm
dude,
going out.
if I'm
Fine.
going to be thrown on a car,
Yep.
let it be the
Yep.
Batmobile. You know,
Yep.
it was so dope. And then you'll see this in the DVD extras on the Dark
Dark
Knight,
Knight
right? Dark Knight Rises,
Rises, right?
where you'll see I figured out I'm getting like really badly hit. So after I was hit, there's a scene where they zoom in and I'm like, oh, like that. They showed that on the DVD extras. And then also like where I said, let me go to the side of the crowd. So I'm more on the outside,
Right.
pushing the people this way.
Yeah, because you're fighting for your life at this point.
Well, it really felt like that, and people were really bashing into us. So it was truly like that. They also dropped this big smoke bomb, and we were choking because it would really choked us. And there was like these fake bullets, but the smoke was unbearable. It really hit us bad. Yeah, so that was pretty bad. And then I remember because we were getting hit. This is so crazy. I did this. I went up to Christopher Nolan, the director, and I said, "Listen, I'm so sorry to bother you." I said, "I know I'm just like a little small." Walk on, extra thing here. I said, but I said, listen, I know you're a big director. I said, I've directed little mini, independent things. Like, I can't even believe I told us.
Nice.
I'm plumpering.
Get in there.
And I was like, but we're getting like hit and hurt. And I don't want, these crazy people to get hurt who are hitting us. And I don't want us to get hit by them. Or they could do a lawsuit, whatever. I said, so he's like, wait, people really got hit? I was like, yes. He's like, everybody, we're taking a 4-hour break. So he takes a super break. Okay, 4 hours. We're all waiting. Okay, and all the like A-lister celebrities in this really fancy, beautiful location with food, and we're just kind of sitting outside, like
eating soup in a tent.
Exactly right. And then 4 hours later, he said, "Everybody, we've solved the problem. Put your hands out this way and this way,
nice.
And that's the distance between everybody."
Super professional, very union.
Yes, now we're good. And action, and boom, we all bash right into each other again. Did nothing. It didn't help 1%. Everybody's smashing into each other again. The whole thing. It was crazy.
So good. That's so Hollywood too. Like, hey guys, we got 4 more hours here. Just don't hit anybody, okay? Promise? Promise? Cool. We're cool, right? All right, let's go. Oh, bam! On the floor. Holy shit, man. That's such a what? But like, what a good day.
Oh yeah, well, 2 days. We had to get up like at 2:00 in the morning to get there by 4 a.m. and start. We finished at 8 o'clock.
You were shooting that down in New York City, right? You're on Wall Street, right, for that?
Yeah, right. And they also was kind of cool. People don't know this. They brought a blackout curtain that covered the sky and blocked out the sun. That had to be like a 10-story long.
That's
blackout
crazy.
Curtain. I mean, it was insane to see the crane drop it and block out the sun. Like, to make it look darker. It was incredible. I couldn't believe it. It was just an amazing thing to see,
So was comics like an end to the movies, or was movies always the goal and comics just became the thing? Or were you like always want to be an actor, or how that all spin around?
It's so funny, man. I went to a school called PCS, Professional Children's School, and I went to school with Macaulay Culkin.
Whoa, did you really? You went to school with Macaulay? You went to school with McCalls? Macaulay Culks? No kidding. Well, I see the resemblance.
It was so funny because I was with him in school at Home Alone 2 at the premiere. We were sitting next to each other,
Yeah.
But it was so weird because I'm like, my friend from school's on a movie screen. This is so weird. Like, it was just a different kind of thing, And my other friend, Mike Turney, was the star of the Ninja Turtles movie. He was Danny in the Ninja Turtles.
What? No
the first
way.
Ninja Turtle. Yeah.
Whoa.
So it was really wild to grow up with these people, and it was just it was an amazing kind of thing. Then Scarlett Johansson went to our school after and stuff.
Whoa,
And
so wait, you're from New York originally. You just hung out in
yeah,
the
yeah,
area,
third
or like
generation native New Yorker.
how
Yeah.
do you get into that school where like everybody goes into movies? Like what's I want to I'll
That's
sneak
a
in.
really good question. So the thing was is that I was going there. I was about 14 years old, and I remember I didn't do acting, so I did my art. So I showed them all my art, and they're like, "Well, this is an art kind of artist type
Oh, I
school."
see. Okay, okay. Okay.
So I got in more for art, but all my friends and Donald Faison from
Yeah.
Clueless and Scrubs, he was also a good friend of mine there. We went to school together there, and Jerry
Oh, the
O'Connell and
pieces
stuff.
are coming together. Oh, you know
Yeah,
Jerry
so
O'Connell too. Hey,
yeah,
what's
yeah,
up,
yeah.
bud?
It
Yeah.
was my secret identity. He was the
Yep.
superhero. So, but he was such a class clown. Like he was so funny and, just
No.
bananas.
You gotta be no, come on.
Like,
Telling tales.
exactly. Like it was incredible. But he married Mystique. He married
Yep.
Rebecca.
Yep. The Romaine.
Amazing.
The Blue
Amazing,
Lady herself. Incredible.
Wow.
My only
Unbelievable.
connection to that entire world is that Michael Pressman lives in Chicago, and he's the guy
Oh,
that
cool.
did Secret of the Ooze. And
Oh, that's awesome.
I
That's
met
so
him.
cool.
I met him once because he works on all the med. He works on med, and I think he does some of the PD as well. But like
Oh,
he
that's
was there, and
awesome.
everyone's just like, "That's Michael Pressman. He's directing this episode." And I was just like, "Hey, ask him what the secret of the ooze is." And my friend's like, "What? I don't get it." I'm like, "No, just do it. Just ask him." And you see him
So,
walk over, and you see Michael Pressman just give him this look, and then walk
oh,
away. And
that's
he's like,
so
"Dude, what did I
cool.
say?" And I'm like, "I'm never gonna tell you. That was for me. I got to
That's
have that moment."
awesome. So you know the secret to the Ninja Turtle ooze. That's
Yeah,
what you're
I do. I'm the
saying.
only one that does, not even Michael Pressman. I told him
Yeah.
the secret. But no,
Now
no,
wait
he's
a
in Chicago. And yeah. Um,
minute. And by the way, I wanted to tell you too, I
please.
really loved that you gave some acknowledgement to Bill Finger with Bob
Yeah.
Kane, the creators of Batman.
We've
And
been getting so much love from the Batman report that we gave, and I was like,
that's
I'm just
awesome.
glad to get the word out there because like the Bill Finger thing, like learned all about that in the last couple of years, and it's still
Yeah.
shocking. Watch
Yeah.
that documentary, Batman and Bill. I think is the
Oh
one.
yeah. Great. Yeah.
It's a tearjerker. It'll break your heart. How
Oh yeah.
prevalent is that? I'm assuming that's still going on in the comic world. You were just talking about people snag stuff and swipe things. Nailed it. Um, but like, I mean, I'm assuming in the digital world, it's got to be even harder these days.
Yeah, well, there's, it's interesting too because like now I'm trying to move into this new digital space, and I'm in talks with some big NFT digital companies that do stuff with Marvel and DC Comics and
Right.
Image Comics Spawn and stuff. So there's also, if you guys go to drip.house, but it's not spelled house, it's like house, like
Hoss.
hop. So it's
Yeah.
HAUS, right?
In
So
the German, in the traditional
yeah, I
germ.
think it might be. Yeah, and it's but drip dot house, right? Say it like that. So I
You
have
have
an
to say it
account.
like that too when you do it, and then every now and you have to turn and then look back at camera when you say house.
House, yes, it is fantastic. It's very good.
So drip dot house.
Yes, yes. So they're going to be launching my art there coming up maybe next week actually.
Oh,
So
dope.
people can
Yeah.
actually we'll do a free giveaway for people who sign up. So it's drip.house I think slash Graig Weich
Nice.
GraigWeich Graig Weich. And then
Cool.
if they go there they could sign up and then they'll get a free NFT. I'm giving away some free ones, and then we'll have a special, unique one of one NFT,
Dope.
and that's the one they could trade or sell on the blockchain or Web3. So I
Right.
want to give people, and by the way, for people who don't know what the heck I'm talking about, because I didn't know what this was, NFT is non-fungible token. It's basically like getting a stock, but instead of it being a piece of paper, it has art on it, and
Right.
there's code embedded in it, like your fingerprint, as my friend Brian says. Shout out to him, like
What's up,
a
Brian?
fingerprint. And it gives you a chance to own a piece of stock of art, and you could buy and sell it on the blockchain, or you could trade it. And every time that happens, it kind of hopefully will go up in value if you sell it for a higher amount. And artists are paid a royalty off of that forever. So it's very artist friendly. It's great. And I hope that we could bring people into that digital space as well. And when it comes to things like AI, I know like a lot of artists like myself who are traditional artists and, learned anatomy and went to school for it, all this stuff. And they were seeing, AI take over a lot of stuff. My thought is we can't stop AI and it's going to be a progressive, thing. So
Yeah.
let's learn how to master the AI as a tool before it masters us. That's my thinking. And I think real artists that use AI are going to be in a real power position versus non-artists who use AI potentially. Because as artists, what makes us good, I hope, would be our editing skills. When we see something looks off or wrong and we know how to fix it, like that
Right.
weird
You
picture we're
understand the
talking
flow,
about.
you understand the vibe. Like it's not
Exactly.
just the image. You can spot it.
Yeah, like we know specifically what's off. What actually, I'd love to do. I'd like your viewers' opinion, guys. If you want to post in the comments or something.
Get in there.
I, yeah, I was thinking of doing like a video series on my YouTube channel and my social media where I take some of the master artists, and a lot of them, because they're under deadlines, don't have a chance to fix their proportions or anatomy. So stuff looks weird in certain panels and people don't know why. It's often because they're on a deadline, they got to move to the next page. But I was thinking, why don't we target those little areas of art that might be off, like if the shoulder is wonky or the chest, and then I could fix it live on camera and show how it could be fixed if they had more time to do it. So I was thinking of doing something like that. I don't want to offend any artist by correcting the anatomy, but at the
Oh,
same
so
time,
you
it
would
could be
take like
educational.
someone would send you in a pic. You're just like, hey man, I found this at a garage sale. Can you fix this?
Well, more like taking the real comic books that they have. Like,
Oh,
for example, if you compare, I did a video of my own work with this. If you compare the Gekido unmasked edition to the masked one that I have now, I
right.
went in and redrew everything to fix the anatomy, the
Oh,
art.
I
I
see.
fixed
Okay.
my own art because I was in a rush deadline. And oh, I forgot to tell you just to finish with Kari Tagawa. So how incredible it was.
I'm in. I leaned in.
So how incredible it was though that he gave me permission. So I went back and I redrew the bad guy in his likeness,
That's so
so you
cool.
guys can actually
God,
see
that's so
uh,
cool.
Harry here, and then the way I drew him as Lord Shinryu. So to
Wow.
actually get in there and draw his likeness was really exciting, and I had to redraw every single panel to make it look like him, especially like you'll see where he's attacking Gekido over
Oh,
here, and
so pretty.
uh,
Oh yeah, it's totally his face too. That's nuts.
oh, thanks, man. So that was like really exciting. And for those of you guys, by the way, just bouncing topics here, and this girl, I just wanted to show this, by the way. She drenches her hair in blood. So you'll see a little bit
Ah,
of
dope.
the blood
Ah,
dripping off her hair.
so metal. And that's all you. You did all. That's all your
Yeah,
art. You didn't have any
yeah,
other.
yeah, yeah. And also Vincent did some amazing colors with us
Yeah, I was gonna
together. So
ask if you were the colorist as well, or was just the
yeah,
sketch.
Vincent and I, we both colored it together and stuff,
That's
and
so
he
cool.
laid down some phenomenal. He's a phenomenal artist too, Vincent. He's
Are
really
you
great.
finding that that's more often like the case now with comic book artists that they're doing their own coloring because they're able to because of digital software, or is there like you don't need to switch it out anymore?
That's a great question. I mean, I
Thank
I
you.
think that what was it?
Thank you.
Oh, you're right. You're welcome. But no, I think that it's its own art. So like, penciling is its own art, inking is its own art, coloring is its own art. But if there's
Right.
an artist who has learned how to master those and put that attention, then yes, they now have the freedom to explore it. And you can see who's like a master colorist versus. So, for example, Rob Liefeld is doing all those series of books with the Deadpool team up with Wolverine and
Right.
Chris and all that stuff. So Rob knows how to, color his stuff, but he still chooses to have this amazing color artist do his stuff because that color artist is an artist unto himself too, and it just makes the work pop. So I can color my own stuff as well, but I love letting like Vince jump in and like lay down some foundation color, and then I'll jump in and like add all the pop and like the kind of extra detail of
Oh,
color
I
to really
see. Yeah,
make it
yeah, yeah.
pop out. But sometimes like I know like for this last page, I don't want to blow the
No
storyline of the
spoilers.
comic.
Turn away if you do
Yeah,
not know.
if you don't want the spoiler, but like this is a great example of this. I'll zoom in so you don't see the spoiler on the bottom. But
Yeah.
I sent him a color layout chart of how I wanted it to look. He then went in, took my layout, and then did a terrific job. Then I went back in and added all the effects and
Oh,
color
nice.
highlights that really made it pop. So it was that teamwork. I think that's the key word. In fact, teamwork is super important. It's one of the things that happened when I think I mentioned to you that I had met the co-creator of Spider-Man and Doctor
Right.
Strange, Steve Ditko.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about Steve Ditko, but since we're here,
Yes, yes. So it starts with Stan Lee. A lot of people don't realize that Stan Lee was the writer, and that he wasn't actually did not illustrate the stuff. So, and Stan was really good. Like, I don't like it when people put down Bob Kane and Stan Lee because they were a part of the creation. It's a team effort. So even though they may have done things that we don't agree with or didn't give the proper credit where credit was due, I don't want to like shit on people or put them down or crap on them. I just want to be thankful and grateful for all of these incredible creators coming together that gifted our childhood and, you know, us with these magical characters that we have today. So I'd rather focus on the positive part of that if possible. You see what
hey
I'm
man,
saying?
you can do that. I'll shit on Bob Kane any old day. Man wore a pink fucking tuxedo to the Batman premiere. But anyway, no, I hear you on that too because a lot, like, I mean, I dunk on him a lot because you know he's kind of a dick to people. But it was because like he also was an artist. Like he was an accomplished artist. Like even though he like Courageous Cat was him, and
Oh
so
yeah, yeah,
like I get it.
yeah.
And Stanley, I think it just gets a better rap because he wasn't a dick to everybody later
Well,
on.
that's the thing
Right?
too. Yeah, I think that there was, to my understanding, I never met Bob Kane, but I understand that he was more interested in, I think, the egocentric focus and credit. He identified his persona as the
Yeah.
creator. But back at that time, people have to understand, back in the 1940s when that stuff happened, you know, we didn't have comics were invented then, right? So this is a new, in fact, 1938 Superman, right? Action Comics. That is an invention. That's a new career that's invented. Nobody
Right.
had morals or standards to know what the hell to do yet. You know, they didn't know, well, if I come up with the idea, I own the character. They didn't understand about sharing credit yet. So I don't want to like shit on them too much because again, these are like people who would be like 100 and something years old now today. So could you
Yeah.
imagine the whole life is different? So I
Well,
don't
it's
think they
also
would.
interesting to note that like also we forget that you know we live in such a superhero like time where we have all
Yeah,
these movies and like but like when Superman came out that was like a big deal. No one would ever really done that and it was successful. And that
yeah,
like the concept that even Batman would have been a big deal. The fact that Iron Man is a big deal is kind of crazy when you talk to the humans that we like remember back in the day because
yeah.
even Iron Man was just like, "Oh, who? Who the hell?" Like we knew Captain America and shit, but like, what is even Iron Man? And now he's like, well, and like you hear fucking bros on the pickleball court talking about Thanos, and there's like a 12-year-old geek that was shoved in a locker back in like 1985. It's just like, oh man, now it's my
Exactly.
time down here.
Exactly. You got it, man. And that's the whole thing. So it's like there wouldn't have been the other creators, like there wouldn't have been a Bill Finger without Bob Kane, even though we all wish that Bob said, hey, it's co-created by Bill Finger. We wish he said that. But again, these are people that would be 120 years old now or something crazy like that if they were still alive. So it's a just totally different world. So I'm trying to be as forgiving as possible, you know, and trying to look at the good, you know, even though, of course, as an artist, it drives me crazy, but I'm trying not to let the negativity,
Well,
you
just
know.
come to me for all your hot Bill Finger,
High
Bob
five me,
Kane
bro.
takes, and we'll let Graig just keep the positivity alive. But what
Exactly.
happened with Steve Ditko? Did you get to work with Steve Ditko? Meet Steve?
Yeah, so it started first with Stanley. Well, I'll show you this great picture. So I met Stan. You see,
Yeah, there's the
and he
man.
was so nice, and he signed my original Amazing Fantasy 15 first appearance of Spider-Man,
Whoa,
which was great.
whoa.
Which unfortunately I had to sell to help my family because my dad had gotten sick and we needed some extra cash.
You
So
can't
it
eat
killed
books,
me.
man. You just can't.
Yeah.
I've tried.
I wish I could. I love that comic. You know what I mean? It was CGC
Right.
great. I got the whole thing, you know, done. But what could you do, you know? But at least we did something nice. And he was so nice to me. And you know, and Stan was like, "Hey kid, you're a young me," and he kind of pats me. You know, it was so nice. He's like, "You're gonna be the next creator of comics." And I showed him all my work, and he was so supportive. And
Nice.
I got so emotional that he was talking to me and understood that I'm a creator of comics and all the new characters I'm creating here and everything. I have a whole universe, by the way.
Yeah.
Like I've created like hundreds of new stories and characters and new superheroes and new superpowers
It's
that
almost,
people
Greg,
haven't
like you do
seen.
this for a living.
I'm trying. It's
Just
hard.
saying.
I'm
Storied
trying.
career, legendary travels. But where did Steve Ditko come into the mix?
So I was walking by Midtown in New York City, and I saw his office, and I knew that it was his office because there was a UK television show, the British television show.
Mm.
What was the name of that host who actually searching for Steve Ditko, it was called. You remember he posted
Oh,
that online? And Ross, I think it was something Ross, right? So he had shown. I was like, oh my God, that's Steve Ditko's office right in Midtown, right here in New York
that's
City.
wild.
Yeah, so I was on my way to the dentist and I saw the office and I was too scared to go in. So
Yeah,
I just
Jonathan
ran
Ross.
away.
Sorry, we were just Googling it while you were talking.
What was it? What's his name?
Jonathan Ross, yeah.
Jonathan Ross. That's it. Yeah. And I was like, wow. I was like, this is the real office. I wonder if Steve is really there. So I'm all nervous and everything. And for those of you guys who are tuning in that may not know, Steve Ditko is the co-creator of Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, and a whole plethora of characters. And he also even designed a lot of the stories too, which is incredible. So he did that with Stan Lee, and he was very undercredited back in the day. Usually, to my understanding, Marvel wanted to just have one creator and have Stan Lee be the spokesperson, and to make it simple, right? They didn't want to say
Right.
co-created and two people or whatever, right? So I don't think that it was Stan's fault, though. Stan admitted that he thought, that the first person who comes up with the idea is the creator, but then over time he realized that it's a collaborative effort and things. So Steve Ditko became a recluse and he left the industry. He won't do Comic-Con appearances and he was gone for 40 years. So nobody had seen him and he didn't make appearances and he didn't put out, other stuff, only independent stuff he was doing on his own. So I was like, wow, this is the co-creator of Spider-Man, Doctor Strange. I got to meet this guy. So I finally got up the courage one day to go to his office. This is right before the pandemic. And I think cut 2 years before. And I went over there and I remember I go into the security area, right? Because you have to enter the building, security guard, and the scanner thing or whatever.
Right, right.
And the security's like, oh, who are you here to see? And I was like, hi, listen, right.
Uh,
Yeah, that was it. That was me. That's exactly how I sounded. It's true. So I remember I was like, is Mr. Ditko here? And he's like, are you press? Are you paparazzi? I'm like, no. He's like, he's not signing for anybody. I said, no. He's like, we get people here 4 days a week coming in here. I was like, oh, no. I was like, I'm just a fellow comic book artist and creator of superhero characters. And I just wanted to see him. And he looked at me, the security guard, he's like, listen, he's like, I want to tell you something. He's like, he's a very peculiar guy. The last person he saw was his nephew 4 years ago. No one has been seen. He hasn't seen anybody. He's like, I don't think you should even try. I'm telling you, he said. I said, no, please try.
yeah, get in there.
Please try, He's like, listen, I'll call him up if you want, but I highly recommend against it, he said. So I said, no, please try. So I'm like this. I'm like so nervous. And I hear him, say, hey, Mr. Ditko. Oh, okay. He says, Mr. Ditko said, go on up. He'll see you. I was like,
Whoa.
what? I couldn't believe it. So I go upstairs and my heart's pounding. And I remembered from the original interview from Jonathan Ross that he didn't want pictures or videos or things like that, which was killing me. So just before I knocked on the door, I took a little video of his door, his S Ditko sign on his door.
So cool.
Yeah. And then, I knock on the door and he comes out. I swear I've never seen anything like it. It looked like he was a snapshot from 1940.
Whoa.
Okay, walking out of a Bloomingdale's catalog. His suit, right, was like pressed, not a crease in his suit that he wore. And he had one of those little bike, remember like the little bike messenger caps, like from the 40s and 50s, those bike little hats or whatever, berets or whatever. He's wearing that and he just walks out and he kind of looks at me and I was like, Mr. Ditko, I was like, hello, my name is Graig Weich. I'm a fellow comic book, artist and creator. I just wanted to thank you for everything you've done. And he puts his hand out and he shakes it. He's like, really? So you draw? I was like, yes. He's like, you create characters? I was like, yes. And I noticed he had like a little brace on his hand So like one of those little like recovery, brace things. And I said, hey, what happened? Is your hand okay? He said, I'll be fine. He was like just super like, no worries, I'll be
Leave me
fine,
alone, kid. Give
Yeah,
me a
right,
cigar
right, right.
now.
I'll be fine. No worries. And we start talking and we're getting into the whole industry and everything. And I was like, hey, are things okay with you and Stan Lee now? Because I know there was some he's like, now we're good. He says, we're good
Wow.
now. He said, I was like,
Wow.
really? I was like, what happened? I said, what? I said, I want you to know that there are so many fans that love you and want to see you and meet you at Comic-Con. He's like, oh, I'm not interested in, making appearances. He's like, but it's nice to hear that, he said.
That's cool.
Yeah, I was like, I just want you to know there are other people like me who just love you and your work and what you've done. I wish you could see that because, it's an incredible thing. People would like to meet you and stuff. And he's kind of smiling, but it was interesting because he's a very serious guy. But then you see the little smile, the little
Yeah, I
thing.
mean, you can't be that serious. Like after a while, you have to go, what it is that I do. You see,
Right,
I'm
right,
allowed to
exactly.
enjoy myself.
Yeah,
Um,
and I asked him like, why did he leave? And he said, you know what? We didn't leave. He says I was pushed out. I said,
oh man,
really? And
yeah,
he said all the new artists were coming in the late '70s, and they kind of just discarded us. And I
wow,
was very offended by that. He said, and I was upset. He says this is a collaborative effort, not just one person, right?
right.
And I said that's so true. And to hear him, I said, how did you create Spider-Man? He said, ask my hand. I thought that was the coolest pimp answer ever. He pimped that answer out.
What
He's
a
so freaking awesome. I
badass.
was like, excuse me, Mr. Ditko. You know what I mean?
He literally said, "Talk to the hand," and you said, "Thank you."
That was
Um,
it. That was it. He said, ask my hand. I was so cool. He was so quick with it. But then he said something, and I don't. I hate to say this because I don't want to hurt, like make people sad, but it broke my heart. And I asked him. I said to him, I said, this is so incredible. I said, how did you, know like that Spider-Man and Doctor Strange, all these characters would take up? He says, it's totally random. Everything's random. He says, you just create stuff and something sticks, something doesn't. He says, it's all meaningless.
uh,
That hit my heart so hard when he said that. He says, it's meaningless. It means nothing. It's all meaningless. We're just existing. We're creating. I'm only focused on what I do now. And I said, listen, I totally hear you, but I want you to know it was meaningful to me and
yeah,
my life and
yeah,
others' lives as well. I just want you to know, even though I understand you're saying it's meaningless, to me, it meant everything, everything. And he smiled and he kind of shook my hand. And it was nice that I was able to say that to him. I wanted him to understand, people ascribe meaning, and you don't need the universe to ascribe meaning. As long as it means something to you, that's enough,
right.
you know? And I wanted him to understand that my identity, my career, my creations come from the love of heroes and people like him who's created characters, because it's not just entertainment, it's something more than that. And even like the message that Stan Lee put in there, with great power comes great responsibility, and
I've heard of
things.
it.
Yeah, right. You know it, right? And in fact, I was on a date with a girl a few days ago, and I said to her, with great power, she says, comes great responsibility. I said, we're gonna have a second date.
Yeah, this can be fun. That's swipe right. I'm assuming you have a lot of fans. When you meet them at like cons or whatever, what do they want to see more of in comics these days? Like, what is
Oh,
like
that's
the thing
that's
they
a
want to
great
see?
question.
Thank you.
I have a. You're welcome, sir. I have a list that I've collected over the last 20 years of all the fans and things, and I will send little private emails. Hey guys, just want to ask you, do you like this? Do you like this? What do you
Oh,
think of
that's
this?
nice. And
You know,
that's really cool, especially now in the digital age. You can really like lean in.
yeah, yeah, and so far, I think I got my finger on the pulse, because the stuff I want to see that I haven't seen, they also want to see too. So I think, because I'm as big a fan as I am a creator, I'm a huge fan of this stuff too. So it's a wonderful kind of thing that I feel very connected with those guys. Now, don't get me wrong. When I started out, when I was younger, I was a kid in school. I'm creating stuff. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I believe anything I see on TV. I believe news. I believe media. I believe whatever, la, la, la. I'm like,
Right.
okay, I'll do this. I'll do that. I didn't know. You know what I mean? I was naive and ignorant about the world and existence. And I didn't know that anyone would ever lie to us on media, or that there's propaganda. I didn't know what that was. So I totally feel like a different human being in that sense because I've learned, I understand, hey, wait a minute, we're all human beings, all of us wearing different costumes, right, which is our skin, right? And
Right.
we're on a floating rock in space. So let's all make the best of it. You know what I mean?
I think that's interesting. That it's like it's all meaningless. I'm like, well, yeah, that's why we're getting crazy. That's why we're doing dopey shit like this because it's fun. That's what we're doing. What else you want to do, man? Not everything's got to be a something. Sometimes things are just things, man. That's
It,
art, baby.
That's
That's
it's
art.
the art. It's the art, man. But that's the thing is that as long as you have a feeling and you feel that there's some meaning behind it, if you create something, right? Like that is meaning. That is everything. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of people are looking for a meaningful answer in the universe, but maybe you are the answer. Maybe you are the meaning. Right. And then that's your purpose. You have found if you like something that other people like, that's wonderful. That could be a really good purpose as long as it's positive. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Keep
We
it
go in that
keep it
direction.
positive, guys. I do love
Exactly.
I do love the idea. It's like, yeah, man, sometimes that's just the thing. And I'm over here like thwacking some pinball, being like, yeah, duh. You want to play a game or what?
Exactly. And by the way, there's meaning to that because that is kind of like a meditative form of you getting into a flow state and doing some cool stuff. So,
Right.
and life is really hard. Like seriously, I've never seen such a epidemic of depression and loss of motivation, loss of purpose. That is what I'm writing all my new comic books about, by the way. My
Wow.
my characters are very different that way. I think it's a little controversial because most of the comic book companies I think stay away from that is where I want to really hit it hard.
Yeah.
And I want to say, hey, like my character, Ravidactyl, for example, he's like very close to not knowing if he could continue living anymore, and he has to find purpose and he has to kind of discover how can he go on and why should he go on. And when he finds this mythological alien ancient armor, it kind of is trying to envelop him. He tries to overcome this and along the way realizes that he's a key integral part to something bigger. And each person is in one way or another. Even people that we don't like will force somebody to come out that we do like. So,
Right.
for example, like I won't get too much into this, but even with the election, right? If
I have
you're,
no idea what you're talking about.
I know it's crazy. I
Oh,
haven't heard anything, but but I will say, don't be upset if the person who wins is not the person you wanted to win, because that means it will push the person you will want to win in the future to come forward next. So there's like a yin and a yang, an ebb and a flow. You have to have Batman and the Joker. They don't exist without each other. You see
they
what I'm saying?
complete
So
they complete each other. I saw the movie. I know the
that's it.
lore. I know how
That's
this
it, man.
goes.
So don't
Um,
be upset, everybody. Be positive, and hopefully, this is going to bring good things every time there's a new person, even if it's not the person you wanted or it is the person you wanted. There's wait, we have the person we want now. That might bring the person we don't. We don't have the person. It goes back and forth like that. It's the pendulum swinging. So that's kind of the way life seems to be on this rotation kind of cycle. So I want people to feel positive about it. Don't take it into your heart and let fear control you. In fact, Kari Tagawa from Mortal Kombat, my partner, says it should not be the fear of death. It should be the death of fear.
hot, hot. God damn, man! I want your voicemails. What's coming up for you? What are people looking for? Where can people find you? What should people be looking for? How can the kids get after you?
Definitely, man. Well, they could go to beyondcomics.tv and don't put it in Google because it'll bring up the old website. You have to actually type in beyondcomics.tv in the web
Yeah,
browser.
you're gonna have to work
And
for it, guys.
exactly, they could go right here. I'll show it close up
Boom,
here.
there it is.
And then this is our social media. If you want to follow on
Yeah,
Instagram, it's at Graig Weich, which is Graigweich.
click the link.
There you go. Yes,
Don't
yes,
punch,
yes.
don't touch the screen though. You have to clean it.
Exactly. Or Beyond Comics on Twitter. And definitely, guys, stay tuned for some new stuff we're doing and some new superheroes and new superpowers and everything like that. And I hope you guys can join this new NFT community, Collectors Club with Remy. We're doing that stuff with Odd Key with Todd McFarlane. And then we got, some other stuff that we're in the works with, which I'll announce next time, some other big NFT companies to come, once we sign up there. And by the way, if you get a chance, I wanted to show you, these were some of the action figures that TV League Fison had done.
What? That's
Yes.
so dope. Oh,
was
man.
so fun, and that was a dream come true. And they were able to release Cleo and Tricity. We got those out, and then the pandemic kind of put a kibosh on
Heard of
production
it.
for the other characters. But they sold out, and it was really exciting. So, you know, if anybody is watching, they want to become a part of the new Beyond Comics universe of superheroes, make sure to go to beyondcomics.tv. And thank you so much for your time, everybody.
Yeah, man. Greg! We did it, everyone! We are the heroes. That's what it is.
The upcoming issue of Gekido #1 from Beyond Comics.
Post your comments below and make sure to subscribe, follow, and share. Thanks for watching, guys.